Hello, hello, Aquarius. Welcome to your October 2019 overview reading. This is good for you if you're a sun, moon, or rising Aquarius. And before we get started, before I lay this spread down, I just want you to know that for the month of October, I am doing like a month of shadow on my podcast and Instagram. So if you're interested in stuff like that, please check it out. It's free content that I put out for you guys. So follow me on Instagram at Onyx Healing for more good stuff that are very themed in the month of October. And I have also put out an Intuition Basics class, so you are welcome to check that out as well. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. All right, everybody, let's go ahead and see what's going on. I'm going to start with the oracle cards. We have Serenity. Find some peace this month. Like, how can you create a little oasis for yourself, a pocket of serenity and peace? Like, that's going to be a really important thing for you to create. I don't think it's something that I mean, of course, those spaces exist where you can go out and find them, but you really want to call that in and create it for yourself. It's an important part of the equation when it comes to your healing, when it comes to manifestations, all of that good stuff. And then the Truthbomb is change your costume. Right, this is going to be a big month of evolution, I can already tell, based on the healing piece with the Serenity card, and then also change your costume. Like, if there's something that doesn't work, then you need to put the old shoes away and get a new pair. Let's see what the central energy is for you this month. We have the Hanged Man. It's about habits. It's about consistency. What are you doing on a consistent and regular basis? What are you doing inconsistently? If you want something to really materialize, or if you want to change yourself and evolve, you have to look at what you're doing consistently and daily. Let's see what the crossing energy is. We have the Ten of Arrows. This, while technically this is equivalent to the Ten of Swords, you want to pay attention to how this is framed. You see how it's like a whole bunch of different, like, yes, no, yes, no, yes, no, this way, that way, this way, that way, this way, that way. And for that reason, it's really overwhelming. So this doesn't indicate quite as much of the release as a normal Ten of Swords would. But what I really want to point out about this card is the fact that you're going to have to decide and commit to something. That's an important part of this that you don't want to underestimate. You're going to have to sit with your conviction and just be in a space of, okay, if there's something that I want to create, if there's something that I want to step in, if there's something I want to step into, I'm going to have to actively create that and make decisions based on the actual direction that I want to go. And that's what this is highlighting here, is if you want something, you need to commit to it and stick to it and see it through. That's an important piece here. It's very easy to get distracted, so figure out a way to reduce distractions this month, and that's really going to support you. It's just going to be way more helpful. What you have shifting out is the Six of Branches. So the Six of Wands. I think there have probably been some either levels up or some reasons to celebrate, like something where you're like, aha, I've got it, I'm victorious. But this is where you become vulnerable. If something goes well and so you decide, oh, everything's fine, I don't have to keep showing up, or oh, I don't have to give any effort anymore. That's a mistake, because you're gonna roll backwards. You want to make sure that you're following up that success that you're having with consistency. That's what this entire section right here is highlighting. So don't say, don't get into the habit of thinking, oh, I had one win, now I can become complacent. That's not a good move. You want to really keep yourself on edge, like pushing yourself to step into that version that you want to become. It's up to you. You're the creator. You're the one who's in charge of what you experience, which is something that you can use for your own empowerment. The oncoming energy is judgment. Yep. Make a decision and stick to it. Even if you're in a stage of experimentation, that's okay. You still want to come from being really, really rigid around what it is that you're doing for yourself. And if something doesn't work, just keep moving forward. It's about the decision-making process. Like, what are you asking for? What are you seeing for yourself? What are you wanting? What are you doing? How are you being consistent with the things that you really care about? And be patient through this. I see the 10 of Arrows as being distractions. So remove the distractions because they could easily get in the way of your consistency. Find the bugs in the system that are preventing you from being the best version of yourself, and that's going to be the way to go about it. Then you're going to experience that lock and load. We're ready to go. We're moving forward in a way that works for us. That's going to be the next step, but you have to troubleshoot in the month of October because you don't want to build on you don't want to build a house on a crappy foundation. You want to make sure you're laying the concrete, that you have everything secure, and then you can really get to building. So you want to be aware and try to take a practical approach moment by moment. Now let's look at material resources. So the money, Queen of Arrows, so Queen of Swords. You might take an unconventional approach. That might actually really help you. So thinking outside the box, doing things that are unconventional or unpopular might actually be the best case scenario. Or it might deliver the best results. So just check in. If you have like an intuitive hit or a ping of an idea, lean into it. I think it can really help your material situation. So think money, physical resources, homes, like anything you're trying to create, a new car in the material world, then you can take that counterintuitive, unconventional approach, and I think you're gonna be able to get there faster. So just tune in with what you feel is best, right, and true for yourself. And then we have the Emperor. This is connections. So the people that you have around you, who you're inviting into your space. The Emperor represents divine masculine. I'm going to clarify this card. Four of Wands. What type of connective tissue are you needing? And what type of people or support do you need in order to make your big picture real? The long-term vision, what is going to work for you in that capacity? Because I think this is more about refining who do you want to co-create with? And it looks like you might want to start considering playing with the masculine. That could be a really great thing for you to focus on, just because the Emperor is saying, hey, this masculine can actually help bring things together faster. So that's a good place to start with all of this. Just consider it, play with it, figure out where is your masculine energy in all of this, and how are you using that to really exercise some discipline within yourself, and that can actually bring on more connective tissue in your environment. This is what's growing for you. We have the Five of Branches. So while this is my favorite card in tarot, just because it's about friction and conflict, you guys know I do love conflict. So that is what's going to help you get to that next level. And I see this as growth and evolution through the problems that you have already faced. So a lot of it is going to be about implementation this month. I think you've gathered a lot of data, but now it's time to apply yourself. You've done the experimenting in part. You might still be in that phase partially, but there's a lot of info that you already have. And so now it's like, okay, get to work, build with those insights and resources that you have. And you're going to be surprised by what you're able to accomplish with that. So use it to your advantage. Like if you've had a difficult time or something has been really frustrating, what have you learned? Apply it. You more than likely you already know the solution. It's just about buckling down and being consistent with it. That's what the Hanged Man reminds you to do. Let's see what the advice is for you. The Wheel of Fortune. Don't become overly committed or fixated on the outcome. That can really stump people. So let me clarify this one for you. King of Cups. So in part, this is about trusting your intuition. The Wheel of Fortune in this deck also shows a compass. This is referring to your personal compass as being what can help guide you. So remember how I said up here with this Queen of Swords, Queen of Arrows, you can actually get to a space where you're listening to your intuition. You might get that ping of, hey, you should go do this, or you should reach out to that person, or you should go to this coffee shop, or whatever the intuitive hit is. And that could actually support the material world for you. Maybe that next job or that next client is going to be in that space where you came from an area of, or your internal compass, which is your intuition, your internal GPS, your guidance. All right, now let's get into the timeline. So first, second, third, and fourth quarter, they're about a week-ish for the month of October. So the first quarter, we have the Chariot. Follow your heart. There's an anatomically correct heart sitting there. I see this as high speed, a lot of progress, a lot of movement. And from that space, it's going to start the month off with a bang. But the only thing that you want to keep in mind with the Chariot is that a lot of the time it can feel really out of control because there is such a great deal of intensity and high speeds. It's kind of like if you can imagine something moving so fast that it starts to shake and get a little bit out of control or not as smooth. That's what the Chariot energy represents. The second quarter, this is the Empress, Divine Feminine. It's interesting because you're really going to want to check in with what's going on with your feminine, what's going on with your masculine. Is one muted? So this is an interesting thing that I'm realizing and hearing about more and more, is that sometimes it can be easy to feel like, oh, I need more feminine. When in reality, it might be that your masculine is out of whack. So you need to get a grip on that, and then the feminine becomes easier to manage and it becomes a little bit more potent. So just try to feel into yourself, like, how are you receiving? How are you applying your discipline? How are you structuring your internal world? Just identify where that is all coming from. Third quarter, we have the Seven of Stones. So casting a wide net. I think you probably have a lot of stuff going on in that third quarter, and it's all coming from the push and pull, the expansion, contraction, that masculine, feminine dance that you have going on this month. I mean, we always kind of want to be we want to figure out what's going on with our own expansion and contraction, our own masculine, feminine. That doesn't go away, but you might find the flow in which you live your daily life can actually be supported by that. And from that space, you probably have more stuff coming up to the surface. So the Seven of Stones is just a reminder that you're going to be casting a wider net this month, and there's going to be more opportunities, more things that come your way as a result. Wrapping up the month, we have the Philosopher of Moons. This is the King of Cups. It's emotional stability, emotional mastery. So you're running a lot of that as you go through this process. It really is about keeping your emotional state in check in terms of where are the emotions going. When the emotions show up, we don't want to hide from them. That's not good. And we also don't want them to completely derail us either. So it seems like this process of moving at a fast pace, figuring out the expansion and contraction, that place that you're in, and what opportunities present themselves to you, or what plants you're watering, what's going on with your manifestations. It's going to help you stay emotionally balanced and centered as you learn from it. And then we're going to do a 3-card pick, business as usual. You're welcome to ask a question, ask for guidance, clarity, whatever it is that you need. If you need more time, pause the video, but I'm gonna pull card number 1. We have the Tower. Something's gotta go. I see this as like, be intentional with like what you're no longer doing. It might be that less is more. That's the main message that's coming through here, is you might not want to say yes to everything, or you might not want to keep doing everything just because you have it going on. There might be something that feels really out of alignment with you, but you feel like you have to do it. This is the month to kiss that goodbye. I would definitely clear that out as much as you can. Card number 2, death, rebirth, growth, transformation. Like, this is absolutely the right space for you to be in so that you're able to evolve into that next step. Just remember that there can be some growing pains as you're working through this. It can feel like you're shedding your skin, and that is somewhat uncomfortable and can be painful, but just understand it's in support of you getting the information that you need in order to be the best and highest version of yourself. Card number 3, we have the 9 of Swords. The good thing about the 9 of Swords is that the fear isn't real. The fear is kind of like smoke and mirrors. It's all an illusion. The reason why you know that is because there can be everything going perfectly well, and there's still the potential that something awful could happen. That always exists, but that doesn't mean that you want to buy into it. So instead, use the information that the fear is giving you in order to make moves and navigate through it. Like, what is that fear really trying to communicate? Is it trying to keep you safe? Is it activation of an old wound? Is it letting you know where you're cusping the next step, and so you're afraid because you're leveling up? There could be a lot of things that this fear is communicating, so you're going to want to investigate. Just be curious with it, and don't bully it or suppress it. Just be curious. Thank you so much for spending some time with me today, everybody. It's been an absolute pleasure. I appreciate you more than you could possibly know. And don't forget, if you would like to work with me one-on-one, you know I'm always available to you. So you can go to onyxhealing.com to check out how to do that. Don't forget to take a look at the meditations that I have available. All of the proceeds go to some nonprofits that I've picked out. And if you'd like to take Psychic Defense, the link is in the description box. All of the decks that I've used today are in the description box. And I can't wait to see you on Instagram if you head over to Onyx Healing, and we'll be doing a month of shadow and all sorts of good stuff when it comes to that. So all of the links to everything I've mentioned, like the podcast and the meditations and Psychic Defense, everything is in the description box, and I will see you next time. Have a beautiful October, everybody. Bye-bye.